Hi, thank you for joining this workshop on safety and security for digital assets. Most of the heavy lifting is going to be done by my colleague Dani because she has a postgraduate degree in information security and I do not. So with that, I hand over to Dani.
All right, thank you for attending the lecture. I hope we can help you understand the security concerns around digital assets better and maybe help you stay safer out there. The way we are structuring this workshop or lecture is that first we will go through what digital assets even are, like what is a cryptocurrency or an NFT, what we mean by safety and security. Then we will talk about key management and the ledger devices that I believe you have received, and then take a more like holistic view of security in general, like digital
Oh, Dani,
security.
sorry to interrupt, but they haven't received the ledger yet. I'm going to be sharing the promo codes after this class. And
So the ledgers you will receive then.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so let's start out with digital assets. When we think of like cash or physical assets, then they have this really good property of scarcity. So if I give cash to someone else, I no longer have it. But that is not the case with data. If I copy data or knowledge and give it to someone else, then we both have it. So it is in a way anti-scarce. So when we talk about digital assets, they are defined by the journey of ownership through hands. And the story, so to say, where we record this journey is called a ledger. These are all around us. They are bank accounts, land registries. We are quite used to them and they're a core part of our modern world. But these ledgers are usually held by a trusted institution like a government or a bank. The revolutionary thing about cryptocurrencies and crypto tokens such as NFTs is that they do not require a centralized bookkeeper, they do not require a bank or a government to keep them. And instead, these ledgers are kept collectively by all the participants of the network, and they are secured through cryptographic means, which make sure that no one can maliciously change or alter the information inside. And for example, if you own an NFT, then no one else can claim that they own it. The way ownership is handled in digital ledgers in blockchains is through public key cryptography. So what this allows you is to prove that you possess a secret without giving it away. And this way, if you do possess a secret, this is usually a relatively long number, you can prove that you own the money, NFTs, etc. associated with that secret. Now this secret is called your private key or just key, and there is an identity, a shorter number associated with this secret, which we call an account or blockchain account. And the act of proving ownership and, for example, transferring an NFT to someone else or selling it is called signing. We say you sign with your key. Now, since we're talking about the secret that we have to prove that we know or possess, losing this key, this secret, means irreversibly losing the asset. So if someone else gets to know our secret, now it's no longer a secret, so they can sign with it and just transfer all the assets, all the NFTs, tokens out of that account. And if you forget or lose access to the secret, you no longer have the secret, and that means you no longer have the assets associated with it. Now, this, of course, means that things are like using blockchain and using these kinds of distributed ledgers requires a bit more effort from our part. These secrets that we use, these keys, are really long numbers. We can't really remember them. They are so long. So we need something to keep them in. And the tools that we use are generally called wallets. This is something you will hear a lot, but John really hates the term wallet, so I'll just hand it over to him so he can explain why.
Yeah, I loathe the term wallet because it gives the impression that the resources are actually held inside the device or inside the plugin in your browser. Whereas in fact, the things are held on the blockchain and your keys are stored in the what is called the wallet. As Dani says, the wallet is more like an ID card or a driving license. It's a proof of your identity and ownership. If you lose the thing, you do not lose your money as long as you have a backup of the signing keys.
Okay, so then the question is where the NFTs or the cryptocurrency actually is. And the answer to this is they are like on the blockchain in the same way that electronic traditional money is in the bank. The blockchain is the communally kept ledger that we mentioned earlier, and it records all the balances belonging to everyone who uses it. Now, we could talk about why it's called a blockchain, but it's mostly inconsequential to the topic at hand, and it's a really complex topic for another presentation. So, going for is this clear so far? Because now we're going to move into the topic of security and safety. Are there any questions, maybe? All right. So, when we talk about safety and security, it's always very important to view these in context. The rule of proportionality that any protections, any safety measures or security measures need to be proportional to what we are protecting and what we are protecting them from. So we need to look at how much value is at stake. Is it cents or is it millions of dollars? Who are the potential attackers? Are they 10-year-old kids on the internet, or are they government agencies and armies? What other potential risks are there that may damage the thing we're protecting? Natural disasters, fires, floods, or forgetfulness. So if we are talking about passwords, online it's relatively easy to reset a password, but if that password is a cryptographic password used to secure, for example, a signing key, then forgetting the password is pretty much the same as losing access to the key forever. So when we talk about security, we usually split it into these three elements. Confidentiality, that secrets remain secret, that no one can access information who has no right to do it. Integrity, which means the data is not altered maliciously by someone who isn't allowed to alter the data. And availability, which means the data is available for legitimate use. And these can be antagonistic to each other. So, going into the topic of safety versus security, when we talk about security, it usually means that we ensure the confidentiality and integrity of the data against attackers, what we colloquially call hackers and cyber criminals. But when we talk about safety, safety usually means ensuring the availability of data against events that I mentioned, like fires and floods, or much more common equipment failure, like dropping your computer and it smashes, or dropping your phone in the bathtub, or maybe your hard drive or SSD just getting corrupt randomly, because such things do happen. And there's also like the factor of human error. Like, as I said, we can forget a password and lose access to the things connected to that. And this way, adding security to a system might actually reduce its safety. So if you have an impenetrable castle, locking yourself out of it is the same as losing it. While if it's kind of penetrable, then it's probably a lot safer, while less secure. And then the other major dichotomy or antagonism here is the topic of security and convenience. Security is inversely proportional to convenience. And usually the best plan for security is one that, while being appropriate to the risks and the value, it allows you to confidently follow it and to use it without compromises. So, for example, I used to work at a company before where they mandated everyone to change their password every month and to have like really long and complicated passwords. And what they achieved with this is that most people kept their passwords on post-it notes on their monitors in the office. So if someone broke into the office or tried to impersonate someone else from the office, it would have been very easy. So an easy to remember password might protect better than one that needs to be written down. And the security measure can only be useful if it's consistently used. So if a lock is never logged, then it might as well not be there. The other thing that we need to talk about, as I said, is what the threats are, what we are up against. And unfortunately, in cryptocurrency and NFTs, we're up against quite a lot. So as I said, it's kind of like the Wild West, like the gold rush in the 19th century. There are vast riches to be made. People did get really rich overnight in crypto, and I do believe that there is still room for more people to get rich overnight. And there's just as many bandits, robbers, and thieves and scammers than there used to be back in the day. So it's really important to understand that we are not up against directly aimed break-ins, so to say, but industries of theft. So there are scammers, social engineering attacks. Social engineering, for those who might not be aware of what it means, it's just using offline traditional human con artistry to get into a system. So for example, calling someone on the phone and saying that one is from Google or something like that. There's malware, that is computer viruses for cryptocurrency theft. The way these operate is that they are set loose to infect hundreds or thousands or even millions of computers, and if they come across cryptocurrency keys, they just send them to their creators. So it's almost as if everyone got their pockets picked who walked through a certain part of the street, and if you had something in your pocket of worth, then it's now stolen. And of course, in the extremes, there's physical theft and there's extortion. So your computer could be stolen, your records could be stolen, or someone could come with a gun and force you to give your secrets over. So looking at these things, what we kind of need to do is always maintain a level of paranoia. Well, not a level of healthy paranoia. So we should always assume from a cryptographic or cryptocurrency standpoint that a computer or a smartphone is compromised. That is, it has like a virus on it that steals cryptocurrency. And it's always good to assume that an app or website or phone call or email is a scam. And to start from that viewpoint and then look for evidence why it's not. And if there's enough evidence, then we can, of course, trust it. But it's always good, especially when talking about cryptocurrency, to start out with the highest level of caution. Because, as I said, in cryptocurrencies and digital assets, loss and theft are irreversible. There's like no bank you can call to revert transactions. There's no customer support where you can reset passwords. Even if the thief is caught and they are they are caught by the police and you go to the court and they get sentenced, it's possible that you might never see the stolen value back because they don't have a thing to their name. They have hidden the cryptocurrency somewhere that's inaccessible, and then it's just gone. So there are things that people usually say to themselves or to each other as a defense of not being careful. And here I collected a few answers to these. So one might say, I barely have any value on my crypto account. Now the answer to this is that we have seen vast price swings in the cryptocurrency markets and NFT markets. And if I understand correctly, you're mostly artists who plan on or might join the NFT market. And so if you become known as an artist there and the value of your creations go up, then any NFTs that you have held and kept to yourself might go up in value exponentially. So an account that's worth cents today can be worth tens of thousands of dollars tomorrow. And also, an account could be compromised today when there's nothing on it, and years might go by, and the thief will probably still have it somewhere backed up or on a computer that keeps checking it. And whenever it's worth it to empty it, then they will just go in and empty it. So very important to start off with a high level of security. And then you could say, no one even knows I exist. I'm just a regular guy. Why would anyone target me? And the answer to this is that that's not really how cybercrime works. They don't target individuals, they target crowds. So if you try to steal from millions of people, you will succeed a few times, and this is the modus operandi of these people. And most digital asset thefts happen via scams. So this is it's very important to consider that being invisible does not guarantee that you are secure. And of course, assuming this can be very intimidating, and there are lots of people who just because of the things I told you about, stay clear of cryptocurrencies and blockchain. They just say to themselves, oh, this is like really complicated, it needs a lot of effort to stay safe, so why get into it at all? But we do have relatively good tools to stay safe, and now I believe today in 2021 we have these tools we have can also be relatively convenient. So these ledger devices that you will receive, they are a pretty good way of staying reasonably safe and managing crypto assets reasonably safely. We will talk now about the ledger devices. and then move on to a more holistic approach to security and safety.
Dani, there's a question, if I
Okay.
can interrupt, from Garrison, which says, is the emergence of quantum computers something to worry about?
I do not believe it's something to worry about for you. It is something to worry about for people who are designing cryptographic protocols and algorithms. And you can just assume that experts will keep updating the blockchain clients and the networks to be up to date and safe enough, looking at the current level of threat from quantum computer attacks. Also, quantum computers are, at least at the moment and probably well into the future, limited to very few actors, usually like governments. So if the CIA wants to steal your NFTs, then I believe they might be able to do it even without quantum computers. But I don't think that's worth worrying about here. So, moving on to the ledger devices. These ledger devices, have you already seen these, or have you talked about them? Are you familiar with what these are, what they look like, etc.?
I think we can introduce them if possible.
Okay, John, would you like to take that?
Sure, yeah. So the ledger device looks essentially like a USB thumb drive with a very small dot matrix display and two buttons. When you turn it on, you must enter 8 digits, I believe, for it to unlock. And if you get your 8 digits wrong 3 times in a row, then it locks itself up and never opens. And the purpose of the ledger is to sign transactions for your crypto account. So what it does is it has apps running on it for Ethereum, for Bitcoin by default, and for Tezos if you install that upon it. And when the computer needs permission to do something, rather than giving that permission itself, it asks the ledger. The ledger will display something on its tiny little screen to ask you whether that is all right. And if you approve it, then it will sign the transaction to be entered onto the blockchain. Yeah, Dani, shall I continue with your ledger device?
Yeah, I can take it from here, I believe. So, if so, yeah, as John said, the ledger's use is to sign crypto transactions for you and store the keys. And the good thing about them is that they were designed so that they are secure or safe from the computer you might plug them into. So the secrets that are stored in it, they were generated in the ledger, and they are stored in it. And even when you plug them into a not so secure computer, you can be sure that they won't leave it; they won't be stolen. And when you set your ledger device up, it will provide you with a so-called recovery phrase. And this you have to write out manually. I'll talk about that a bit later. And you can use it to duplicate your device into another one. So say if you lose your ledger device or it gets destroyed, you can buy another ledger device, choose restore, and just enter this recovery phrase on it. And then it will give you access to the very same crypto accounts that the lost or broken one day. The way the ledger device generates keys is that it takes this single secret, this recovery phrase, and uses it to generate a list of different private keys or cryptocurrency accounts. And an external observer, so someone who does not have access to the device, has no way of knowing that all these accounts belong to the same family or to the same person. This also means that if you or anyone other than you has access to the recovery phrase, they will have access to all the accounts, all the assets. And this is very good, but it can also be very, very bad if you don't want that person to have access to all your assets. So what should you use it for once you get it? I believe once you have one, there's just no reason not to use it for everything blockchain related where real value is involved. They cost like some money, so if someone's just getting into cryptocurrency and they might buy some like Tez or Bitcoin for a few dollars and play with it, then you would hear people say, oh, you don't really need a hardware wallet for that. But since you already have one, there's just no reason not to use it. The alternatives all have very significant drawbacks. As I said, you should always assume that a computer is compromised. Software wallets, such as the key management functionality in browser extensions like MetaMask or Temple for Tezos, are very vulnerable, really. And I think once you have access to a hardware wallet, they should only be used for testing purposes with toy money on like a testnet blockchain, which is kind of similar to a real blockchain, but only for testing and playing around. The other alternative, mobile wallets, which are apps for your smartphone, which say that they will manage your keys, are just as vulnerable as software wallets on a computer. And many mobile wallets are actually scams that were created by cyber criminals. I have seen so many reports of people downloading a wallet app on their smartphone and having all their cryptocurrency stolen because it was a fake app that was created for stealing crypto. And there are, of course, custodial solutions, which can be useful, but you need to really fully trust the company that is handling your keys, your assets. And the ones that are truly trustworthy and secure tend to be very expensive. These are aimed at a similar market as private banking, so like millionaires and billionaires who want like someone to worry about their money so they don't have to. So all in all, these ledger devices that you're going to get are relatively easy and convenient to use, while offering a really huge step up in security compared to software wallets and mobile wallets, and being a lot simpler and cheaper than custodial solutions. So how can you stay safe and secure while using your ledger device? It is secure in its design, but you need to be using it correctly. The recovery phrase is literally the thing that grants access to all your on-chain assets. So there are these rules that you need to follow. Essentially, the way I would sum these up, they should never touch a digital medium in any way. So if a computer or a smartphone has access to them, I believe it's safe to assume that they have been compromised, and you should move all your assets of those accounts to like new ones that have not been on a computer or smartphone. But at the same time, you need to keep them safe. The ledger devices are electronic devices. They can break. They probably will with time. And you can lose them, or they can be stolen. Now, if the ledger device is stolen, it's protected by a password, so the thief will be slowed down. But you still need to be able to recover your assets and move them onto a new safe set of accounts. So you need to store this recovery phrase somewhere safe, or actually somewheres safe. So you have to take pen and paper, write it up from the ledger's built-in screen, and make multiple copies of it. Then seal these copies in envelopes and store them safely at multiple sites. So maybe keep them at the safe at your parents' house, keep them in a safe at your own house, keep them in a safe at your partner's house if you really trust them and share your finances with them. So you need to think about, okay, what will happen if like my house burns down, well, etc. And whoever gets access to these handwritten slips with your recovery phrase will have access to your crypto. So that's the other side of it, the security side. There's like a bit more involved way you can use the ledger devices. They allow you to create what we call hidden accounts. This is called an advanced passphrase in the ledger device. These are a second sets of accounts that are generated from the recovery phrase plus the advanced passphrase. You can use these hidden accounts for separating your cryptocurrency and NFTs that you use daily and the ones that you have in long-term storage, like a checking and a savings account. But you need to this is like just the same as everything else. If you lose this, you lose everything connected to it. So this is why it's called an advanced passphrase. It's an additional layer of security at the expense of both safety and convenience. And so proportionality should be thought about, like how much money are we talking about. But clever use of hidden accounts can protect you in certain cases, like if an armed robber has you at gunpoint and forces you to surrender your cryptocurrency. If they probably won't know you have hidden accounts, so you can just give them your regular ledger accounts and they might go away with a small fraction of your holdings. Now, here about the social side of staying safe. So, as I mentioned, armed robbery, we really hope that no one of us will ever experience that. And to help make sure of that, there are some like good rules to follow online. So we should never talk about our crypto holdings online, in public especially, but even private is kind of iffy. And we should never associate our high-value crypto accounts with our physical identities. If we need to associate a crypto account with our physical identities, it should probably be one that has a relatively lower amount of value associated with it. Or if we are like doing something high profile, like you are a really famous artist now and need to mint an NFT that will probably sell at Christie's for millions of dollars, then at that point it might be worth looking into custodial solutions who can then worry about being like robbed at gunpoint themselves. They will have like people with guns there guarding the servers and stuff like that. But having a ledger device by itself can also give a robber the wrong idea, and it's good to have like good credible cover stories for the worst case if that might happen. Saying that I had cryptocurrency but I sold it might be credible for the situation where the robber knows nothing about us. But if we are a famous NFT artist, it might be a bit hard to believe. So at that point, saying that minting the NFTs and holding the sale revenue is handled by my manager might be a more credible way of going around. There is a YouTube link here. We're going to share this presentation with you, so you can follow the link then, or you can just copy it now. This is an official video from the company behind the Ledger devices on how to set it up and use it. So now I will move on to a more general security and staying safe online. Do we have any questions or requests for clarifications? Okay, John, is there anything you might want to add to?
Oh, I feel like that was comprehensive.
All right, so going on with security. Their digital security is more than just keeping the crypto keys safe, and there are many ways that an attacker can get to you, so to speak. So you should keep your computer as secure as possible. Of course, as I said, always assume your computer is compromised, at least from a crypto perspective. So there's really no perfect defense. There's always a smarter or better hacker or a more sophisticated virus. But there are good ways to shift the odds in your favor. You should regularly install updates, that is, updates to your operating system and applications. Ideally, enable automatic security updates. You should be mindful of which browser extensions you have and probably keep them to a minimum. Browser extensions are generally written by independent developers, and sometimes we have seen instances when they were malicious or had malicious code hidden inside them. It's really a bad idea to install pirated or unknown software that you find on the web, because it might contain malware, and it's always a good idea to use an antivirus. Macs get viruses too, even though Apple files might have different hopes, but they do get viruses, and Mac viruses can be just as bad as Windows viruses, so do be careful. But antivirus is another thing that you really need to trust, and free antivirus software that you might find advertised online is usually just malware itself. So when you buy antivirus software, you should buy it from a reputable antivirus maker like Norton or Symantec. And when I say buy it, I do mean buy it. So if you didn't pay for an antivirus, it's probably not that great. Now, Windows 10 and 11 do have antivirus built in. You can consider that both, because you did buy Windows from Microsoft, and that's Microsoft's own antivirus. I do believe it's good enough, but do make sure to turn it on. I think there's like a way to check in the Windows security settings that the antivirus is turned on and up to date. The other way someone might get, so there's, as I said, the threat of malware and someone cracking your computer from the internet, but there's also the threat of someone getting physical access to it. And there are ways to slow down an attacker or kind of protect it, even against someone who has physical access. These protections are not like perfect, because once someone has access to a computer, it's pretty much their computer. It's only a matter of time how long it will take to compromise it. But it's always a good idea to use a strong login password for your computer, like your name or password or the date of your birth is probably not such a great idea. You should set a boot password. and encrypt your hard disk. This is something you can generally enable when you're installing or reinstalling your operating system. You can after the fact encrypt your home directory as well, which is a good second option if you missed out on encrypting the hard disk. And you should always lock your computer when leaving it unattended in a public place. And also, it's a good idea to set up a guest account. Some friends might come along and say, "Oh, can I use your computer for this? I left mine at home," etc. It's really a nice thing to help others out, but it's not such a great idea to give anyone other than you access to your own account. Both Windows and Mac OS allows you to set up a guest account that someone can just log into and use it, and that way they can access the internet, use your software without seeing any of your files, any of your data, or any of the sites that you have left logged in on your browser. Moving on to online security. Passwords. John, do you want to talk about passwords?
Sure thing, yeah. So, yeah, humans are terrible at passwords, so don't let humans do passwords. We previously said that convenience and security have an inverse relationship, but actually password managers are the exception to this. Password managers are great. You lock it with one password, which is the only one that you need to remember, and it will generate new, unreadable, horrible, complex passwords for every website that you use. Pardon me. So if one website is compromised, the rest remain safe, and it will even fill forms for you on a website, so you don't even have to go to the trouble of entering your username. The password manager will do the whole thing. You can then back up your password manager to like Google Drive or to Apple or to whatever your favorite cloud provider is. And if you protect that by two-factor, which we will talk about, then you really do have some decent, strong security, and you will also have convenience, which is very lovely. So yeah, a little detour into two-factor authentication. So if your password is compromised, then if you only have a password identifying you, then you are in trouble. And so what we do is we introduce another factor as well, in order that unless you have these two things, you cannot log into an account. So it seems like it's becoming really common to use email and SMS as the second factor, and both of them are better than nothing, but they are not. There was a case where someone's domain name was hijacked because SMSs were sent, and the attacker simply phoned up the phone company and said, "I've lost my phone, please can you authorize a new SIM card?" 10 minutes later, they sent a confirmation SMS was sent, and then somebody had lost their domain for the weeks it took them to get it back. Um, the better methods are an app called Google Authenticator, which produces numbers which change with time. So the number is set to some value, which is a secret you share with the website, and then it changes every minute or so. And if you have the correct number, you can log in. My favorite is the Newby and other keys, which are again look like USB keys, and which you put into your computer's USB port, and if you have that, you can log in. It's physical security. You tend to treat it with as much care as you do your door keys, which in my case is really quite a lot. Um, and it's just extremely convenient. And then there's a thing called RSA key fobs, which Dani has made me aware of, which are listed as mostly extinct.
Oh yeah, banks used to use them. Like if you had a high value bank account and you requested internet banking, then you would get this little like plastic thing in the mail, or you had to go into the bank and they would like give it to you, and it would do the same thing as Google Authenticator but in a hardware form. I remember I worked at a company where they gave out these keys to everyone, and when you were logging into your computer at your workplace in the morning, you had to put in the number. It's now, like, with the advent of like phone apps, these authenticator apps, these seem to have gone out of fashion. They were just a bit more clunky, and it had to be like a dedicated device for every single account that you wanted a second factor for. So, talking about two-factor authentication, it can be a curse as well as a blessing. So imagine the following. You're on a vacation overseas and you lose your phone and your papers. Or maybe just your phone. Let's be a bit more optimistic. You lose your phone. But now you need to reach your friends and family because they will be worried about you. If you lost your papers, you will need to contact the embassy as well. But now you can't email anyone because you can't log into your email because you have lost your phone and the SMS code is sent to your phone and Google Authenticator was on your phone. This can happen, and it probably over your lifetime will. So there are a few good rules to follow with two-factor auth. So first, there are these things called backup codes that Google, for example, allows you to set. You should use these. This generates, like, maybe Google generates, I think, 10 or 12 backup codes. These are relatively short numbers, like a phone number, that you can put in at any time and use it as a second factor. You should generate these. You should memorize one of them. And if you ever lose your phone or lose access to it, you can still use this backup code to log into your email. You should authorize multiple phone numbers if the service allows it, and if you have multiple phone numbers, or you have like a close relative or partner who you absolutely trust, then you might authorize their phone number. And in general, it's good to keep things simple. There are accounts that really need two-factor authentication, such as your main email account, where pretty much half your identity today is held. Your bank, your college, probably, your friends, everything goes through your main email, so that really needs 2FA. You probably need 2FA on your Apple or Apple account if you use an iPhone, because your photos are on it, your messages are on it. There are things that really need this second factor, but many things that really do not. So unless an account has extremely high value things on it that can allow an attacker to maybe steal your identity or get information about you that is highly critical and can be very damaging, then you probably don't need two-factor on that account. And finally, closing off the online security topic, let's talk about social engineering and scams. This is becoming a bigger and bigger issue every day. Online scamming is literally a billion-dollar industry of organized crime, and there are call centers employing thousands of people around the world whose actual job is to go into the office in the morning, sit down by their call booth, and start scamming people around the world. And this is... So the way you need to think about it is that these are not individual criminals. They are not like small players. This is the mafia. This is like industrial, corporate level, sometimes state level crime where like very high up people are bribed. It's like, like a mafia movie. It's big. It's bigger than you. So you really need to be careful not to get caught in the scams, because it can be very hard to get back at them or to retrieve any money or assets that have been stolen. So it's relatively easy, though, if you know what to look for to stay safe. You should never believe anything that ads online or pop-ups tell you. you see like a lot of these little weird pop-ups that mimic error messages like your computer has been compromised or virus detected. Well, your computer will be compromised if you click on that link or if you call that phone number. There's a whole industry of fake antivirus and computer optimizing or computer repairing software out there. Like, install this software to make your computer faster or to unclutter your computer. Install this software to protect you from malware. Probably that software is malware. And these companies are extremely good at projecting a reliable, positive image. And there have been many companies that have operated in a gray area, kind of a gray area of legality where they did not actually commit any crimes, but they did sort of trick people into downloading and paying for absolutely useless programs that even nagged the users them regularly to pay more and more money. And since, it didn't force them, it wasn't actually a virus, it would just, pop up a little like window time to time again that, oh, your monthly payment for your anti-malware and decluttering program is due, and people would pay it. And of course, the program didn't do anything. It just made using the computer even worse. But it wasn't technically a crime, and so these companies kept on and lived on for years and years, while everyone in the industry actually knowing they were scams. You should always be skeptical of emails that you get from banks or Google or the government asking you to do something, to log in somewhere, to double check something. Because these are a very common way of scamming. You shouldn't click any links that you get in an email. You should just go and type in your bank's address or Google's address manually. Go there, log in to the legitimate website, and then you will see if the email you received was legitimate or not. And any numbers that you get in such emails, you shouldn't call. You should always look up the customer service number of whoever the email is from separately. Call that number and ask them, I received this email. Was it actually from you? And a very, very important and a good rule of thumb is government agencies will usually don't call you or email you. They tend to send registered letters. And they will never require immediate response or action. They will always give you a deadline of days or weeks. So for example, if your taxes are overdue, you won't get a call telling you pay your taxes now. You will get a registered letter saying pay your taxes within 7 work days or get these and these penalties. And in the rare cases when this is not the case, a police officer will be physically standing in front of your door with a warrant. And this link here is a YouTube channel of a white hat hacker who exposes online scammers, and it's a really good starting point to educate oneself about the world of online scamming and how to stay safe from it. And that's pretty much what I wanted to tell. I don't know if John still has something to add or if there are any questions.
I think one thing we forgot to mention in this is backups, just whether it's time machine or dumping stuff on Google Drive or some other paid-for service. Part of the whole safety thing is to make sure that your data is backed up. So subscribe to some service and make sure that it's kept current.
Yep, that's very important. Any questions or feedback?
I'm looking at the chat, but yeah, if anybody has questions of any sort, of anything that we just chatted about, I think this is a great time to ask. So, Acaro Occulted says, do you recommend any service for backups or password management softwares?
I use one called MPass, which works for me. I think it costs €10 for the rest of your life across all of your devices. I know that the Business Foundation uses one password, which I also believe to be good. There are some free ones which are absolutely fine, but maybe not as polished.
Would you mind maybe typing the name? Because, yeah, I also couldn't hear super well.
Sure. As usual, I'm defeated by this user interface, so I will just, as soon as I work out how to type, I will type.
It's a residency second cohort.
I just tagged you, so you should be able to see the chat.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then Christian says, can you briefly touch on connecting MetaMask with Ledger?
Yeah, so we're from Tezos, so let's talk about the Temple wallet and Ledger. But yeah, so it's for one, when you get your Ledger, you should go on the Ledger website and read the documentation there and watch the videos. And I do believe MetaMask will be specifically mentioned there. But also when you install a browser plugin such as Temple or MetaMask, when you open that, you will get, well, first you generate an identity on the browser, which you will not use, as I said, or should not use. But once you've done that and you're inside, at the accounts there will be like a little icon or menu saying that connect hardware ledger or hardware wallet, and when you click that, it will lead you through the steps of connecting your ledger device.
Also, when it comes to Ethereum as well, I believe probably Phil has like a tutorial, or at least like he did it for me, and yeah, so we can provide that as well if any here has a need to connect Ledger to your MetaMask and your Temple wallet. Maybe we can do just a 30 minutes kind of tutorial to do that later on once you all get the ledgers as well.
Cool. We have a really good question. What happens if the company manufacturing a physical ledger goes out of business? What happens in 10 or 20 years?
Sorry, John, we can hear you like with a bit of echo. I don't know if it's I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Now it's
No.
better.
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay, maybe I talk too loud. Who knows? The question was, what happens if the company manufacturing a physical ledger goes out of business? And the answer is, as long as you've written down the mnemonic phrase, you're fine, because the mnemonic phrase is an open standard and it can be imported by a variety of different software and hardware devices. So that backup is what ensures that you will not lose access to your funds.
Staking, so staking is relatively complicated. There are very good video tutorials. You have to, so you when you have Taz on an account, you have to call or make a call on the chain where you authorize a baker of your choice to use your holdings as part of their stake, and for that you get a certain revenue. It's kind of like having a savings account where you get a certain accruing interest over time. So it's relatively complicated because you need to figure out which baker you will trust and choose, and you have to go through an external service where you can like make this call to authorize the baker. But there are good resources, and I guess if people are interested, we can probably look it up and find a good video explanation and post it here.
There's also one from Vitali which says, I created my MetaMask and KuCai wallets before and I don't know if my computer was compromised or not. Will I be safe after I start using Ledger?
You will be safe if you take all your assets that you have on MetaMask and KuCai and move them onto your new accounts that are held on the ledger.
Any other questions at all on this topic, on security, safety, anything that you have? Ask all your questions, even if they seem stupid. There are just a few people typing, so I'm gonna wait before. Yeah, go Felipe. If you want to unmute, feel free as well. Stefan asks, what's your opinion about multi-sig wallets like Genesis or Argent?
John, you want to take this?
I don't really know whether I have an opinion about multi-sig wallets, to be honest. I mean, I think they're a good thing if you need them for DAOs or for anything else. I think we know from experience that when they're incorrectly implemented, it turns out to be extremely expensive. But yeah, in general, I'm neutral on them. Dani, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I do think that they should be used if they are needed. So, for example, if there's like a group of people, like a company holding assets together, so like corporate assets, and the company owns them and not any one member of it, then, for example, the board could be using a multi-sig sig wallet. In general, at the moment, I think they are for cases where this is not like explicitly required, they aren't really worth it. They are quite overcomplicated and also introduce potential vulnerabilities.
I will take the next question, I think. I mean, which is a simple yet direct definition of a ledger. A ledger is actually a specific product from a specific company, but generally, they are a member of a class called HSM, so Hardware Security Module. And what they are is devices which store crypto keys or something else secure in some way in which they cannot be accessed from the outside. So they are signing devices which cannot be modified and cannot be compromised because they have such a simple interface and because they do such a limited set of functions. And this next one, so when you connect your browser wallet, will it stay with the same seed phrase or key? Will it be changed by the ledger one? They tend to give you the option of many accounts. So you pretty much always have the one in the browser wallet, and then they'll say, "Oh, do you want to connect to your ledger?" And that will obviously be a different key.
Yeah, it's sort of like your accounts on the ledger are guests in your browser wallet. So the browser wallet won't forget its own keys. It just allows you access for signing to the ledger key that you share with it. And of course, the ledger keys will stay in the ledger, which is the whole point of having the ledger. And the browser wallet will stay what it. As for the ledger getting broken, again we went through this in the class, but the ledger has or gives you this recovery phrase, which you should write down by hand with pen and paper, so it shouldn't touch a computer. And if it gets broken, then you buy a new ledger and you enter your recovery phrase in this new ledger when you're setting it up. And that way, this new ledger will be a copy.
Oh, I like this next question. If you are into a scam or you get attacked, what's the next step? The next step is to find a safe account that you can transfer your assets to, and to transfer your assets to that account as soon as you can.
Yeah, so I can actually also say I had a moment where I thought I was essentially getting attacked, and the first thing I did was transfer everything to a new wallet, which had a ledger on it. So yeah, I think that's probably the best way to go.
I think the first thing to do when you believe you are under attack is to keep your calm. So you can do more damage to yourself if you're panicking than any attacker could. And once you have regained your center and you're not panicking, then you should probably you should create a mental model of what is happening, what has been exposed or what the attacker got access to. So, for example, did they get access to the secret on the ledger? If they haven't, then you just pull the ledger out of the computer, shut down the computer, and as far as we're talking about cryptocurrency, you're safe then. Any transfers that the attacker might have made beforehand have happened. Unfortunately, it's irreversible, but you can then go to a safe computer, check your ledger, or even without like plugging your ledger in, you probably have your account numbers and you can check your balances and everything. If you have reason to believe that your ledger had been compromised, so for example, there was a break-in at your home and the robbers took the envelope that had your ledger recovery phrase, then the thing to do, actually, and for this reason, it's probably a good idea to have two ledgers. You take your old ledger and you take the new ledger. You set up the new ledger with a new key, with a new secret, a new recovery phrase. And then you take your old ledger and slowly and carefully, without making any mistakes, you transfer all your assets from that to the new one. And that way, there's like a good chance that the thief won't have gotten to actually setting up a ledger with the stolen recovery phrase. And by the time they do it, then it's already been emptied.
But also some of the scams that can happen might be from Discord. Like I think all of I mean, I talk for myself, but 99.999% of the private DMs I get on Discord are spam. And sometimes they ask you to like connect or go to certain links, etc. Like just don't do that. Because it's probably somehow a way to try to connect in some way or form to your wallets. And yeah, so I would avoid at all costs going into these links. Even to be honest, even on Twitter, even on Instagram, even on LinkedIn, like I get spam everywhere. So yeah. Okay. Any other? Oh, Vitali says, can I use my browser wallets without Ledger after I connected them to hard wallet?
Well, as I said, yes, whatever accounts were in the browser wallet will stay there. But of course, your Ledger wallets will not magically transfer into the MetaMask or Temple, and that's actually a good thing because your browser wallets are relatively insecure, and so anything of value should be kept on the ledger. And of course, the whole point of the ledger is that you can only access those values if and while it's plugged in and when you authorize anything on the ledger.
I already connected my wallet in a fake PFP project and understood it was fake 3 minutes after signed. I didn't get hacked and then I deleted the website connection inside the wallet. Is there any chance of they having my seed phrase?
Not if you actually gave it to them. Well, if it's a hardware wallet, then no. If it's a software wallet, I don't know if you mentioned that. So if it's a software wallet, there is. If it's a hardware wallet, there isn't.
Any more questions? Okay. I would like for I think I shouldn't have gotten a letter earlier. So if all of the artists can stay on the call, so I can just share the promo codes with you and the next steps into getting a ledger. I can just briefly talk about it for 5 minutes. And yeah, if there's any other questions, I can filter them through as well through John and Dani. But in the meantime, thank you so much for this.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Okay. So I will share now the link to the Google spreadsheet, which has 22 promo codes. And basically, if you can put essentially just type your name in next to the promo code that you selected, and then the instructions to go and order it. 1 second, and I will get them now. But basically, you go onto a website, you type in the promo code, and then you type all of your details for sending it. It should be fine in all of the countries that you guys are in. I know last time, for example, there were 2 artists who were in Iran, so it didn't arrive there. So I had to send it to them. So I had to order it to my address and send it to them. Obviously, there's a trust kind of situation there where they trust me to order it for them and not me not opening the ledger, etc. But yeah, I guess that's up to you if you can trust me or not. But anyways, it should be all fine. So all of you should have no problems receiving them wherever you are. Nat, maybe in Mexico it might be an issue, but just check and let me know. And if it's not, we can figure something out. Basically, these are the instructions. Yeah, of course, Felipe. Like, you don't need to order it today. You can keep it. Just put your name next to it. Just put your name next to it so people know which code is yours and they don't go and like essentially reorder it. Like, yeah, reorder it. Any case, like if there's not enough codes, I can ask for more. That's not a problem. But there should be enough. I actually may have like already a few more that I can share. And then yeah, it's for all wallets. It's for all blockchains. Yes. Yeah, Ledger is for all blockchains. So I use my Ledger in everything I do. I barely have like a hot wallet, as they call it. So every transaction that I do is with a Ledger. It's a bit of a pain. I mean, I need to connect to the Ledger every time, but to be honest, I'm yeah, so much at ease with myself doing that way. And I would recommend you all to essentially, especially with your assets and with your art and with your collection, like things that you are keep very dearly, to just transfer them. This is what I did. We have another wallet which is called whatever, like Vertical Crypto Art Vault, and everything that is there is onto a Ledger hardware wallet. So I would highly recommend to do the same. And if you need any help into essentially installing the ledger to MetaMask and Temple, we can do a session with Phil, who is not here now. I mean, he's just recording, but he's not here. And he can go through it because, yeah, he knows how to do it really well. So you can just do a tutorial. So if there's interest for that, just say it on the chat and we can organize something maybe next week or whenever works. All clear? Any questions? When you transfer all to the ledger, you have the same wallet ID as your original wallet? Yes, you do. So it's basically not a new wallet. Like it's the same address, but it's just protected in a way. So it's as if you have put it in a safe. No, you don't have to resync everything. No. But I believe you do have to do some sort of transfer, which I think Phil would be able to answer, but he's not here now. Sorry, I'm not super technical. Luckily, I have him, so he can do everything for me. And yeah, so I think you have to resync everything, yes, but your wallet doesn't change. Super, great, good to know it's easy. I think it is, yes. It was just a matter of ordering it in certain countries that for some reason they don't deliver. So if that is your case, just let me know and we can go through another route, which will probably mean that I will have to order it and then send it via post, essentially. Can you transfer your TES balance as well and use it as a main wallet? Yeah, you can. Oh, sorry. I'm wrong. Oops. Sorry. So no, it will be a new wallet ID. Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess that's true actually, because my new wallet ID is different as well. Yes. New wallet address. So it's a new wallet address, yes. You will have to redo TZK and handSync and so on. Yes, you will. Can you manage more than one wallet from it and add more than one blockchain? Yep. You can. Here is the list of all of the supported crypto assets that Ledger has. It has Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tezos, other coins. But I guess the main ones, yeah, are these. Yes, I also know about that, Stefan, as well. I think Supera does it as well, but I don't know if Supera applies to anybody here. But yeah, they do. We'll be live for Sundays. The affiliate, yeah, no worries. The doc will be there. Will stay there forever, let's say. So you can add it to whenever you want. I'll just pin it to this chat, so that you can go back to it really easily. And just and I'll pin the instructions as well. If you have any issues at all, just let me know. Thank you, Ikaro. Thanks a lot. That's so kind. Yes, Gabrielle, you can, but maybe I'm not the best person to answer apparently because um, I don't know if I'm like that expert on it, but if I can answer, I will. I mint NFTs for my existing wallet. If Ledger creates a new address, do I have to create new accounts on NFT platforms? I'm not entirely sure about this, and I don't want to tell you something that is wrong. If anybody here knows about this, would be great. Maybe Stefan. I don't know, any expert here. I'll also tag Phil because I think he knows, but he's not here now. Because I'm thinking in using. I mean, the letter is yours forever. I won't take it back. Like, yeah, it's not just for the residency; it's yours to keep for whatever you do in the future of your life in the crypto world. Delivery will be quite long. What about normal, like paid delivery? How much, like, how quick is that? Okay, cool. Um, yeah, basically let me know how much it is a good amount. Yeah, let me know how much is it. We can pay for that. No problem. So if you all have the people from Brazil or South America or anywhere, if it takes too long to get delivered, let me know. Send me a DM, and we can transfer the amount essentially to your crypto wallets. Yeah. For I think for Italy and Europe, it will take like I think the last time the people who were in Europe, it took like literally a couple of days. I don't know where Ledger is located, to be honest. Ikara, did you already do it? Oh, okay. Is it okay to send it to your home address? Yes, I sent it to my home address. I mean, I think it's okay as long as you think your home address is safe. I would hope so, yeah. as in it's marked ledger. Yeah, I mean, I did. I sent it to my home address. DM me on Discord or Twitter, whichever you want. I check each and every one of them every second, so. Yes, DM me, no problem. And also, you can order a new one. It's okay. That's not a problem. Just completed your order. Great, super. If you have like specific questions, I think Phil will be much more knowledgeable than me to answer them. So when I just pinged him in a few of the things, and he will when he's back, he'll answer them. And we can set up a session on how to connect the ledger to your MetaMask and to your Temple wallet. Michael, I was thinking I don't want my delivery guy or neighbors knowing what it is. Yeah, I don't know how you can avoid that. Sorry. Maybe you can send it to another address then, or like the post office. That's a good point, actually. I didn't think about it. So I tend to be very naive in things, unfortunately. So I never think about there's a risk until there's a risk, essentially. But yeah, I guess it's a good point. Okie dokie. If you have any questions at all, just feel free to ping me. As always, if I don't reply the day, I will definitely reply the day after. But usually, I always reply. And yeah, I don't think we have a class tomorrow, so you're free. I know it's like a very busy couple of weeks, so yeah. Hope you're enjoying it. Okay. Cool. Bye bye.